like it was an evil presence? Did it come off that way or just a very active presence?
I guess both felt so evil that it won't let you get out. And then the wind is just blowing drapes everywhere. But then the next day when we went back in, everything was back to normal.
Welcome back to Paranormal Impact. Now, this story is bound to make you think twice about spending the night at a loved one's house. This encounter takes a coastal turn towards the Micronesian islands in the state of Pohnpei. A local restaurant owner named Sydney shared his horrific encounter with a demon while his cousin slept over his house. This encounter left a lasting emotional scar on Sydney and his cousin, who was also experiencing the demonic presence. Let's take a moment and let Sydney share his paranormal impact story.
All right. Well, I'm from the small islands of Micronesia. It's the state of Pohnpei. And growing up, yeah, I've experienced some really crazy stuff right at home.
See, so I know a lot of people are probably not going to know too much about the location. So can you give them like an idea of like a close proximity country that everybody would probably know and be familiar with that Pompeii is?
Everybody knows Hawaii.
Okay.
Yep. So Hawaii is part of the Polynesian chain of islands. And then the smaller islands are the Micronesian chains. So you got Melanesia, Polynesia, Micronesia.
Micronesia. I'm getting some geographical education right now.
All the way out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Yeah.
I bet that is so beautiful.
Beautiful.
What dark secrets?
Yeah. Mysteries.
What aliveness?
Oh, I forgot to tell you. We always pop up on Ancient Aliens because of our city.
Very,
Yeah.
very ancient aliens is a very, very popular TV series.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Talk about a lot of different um uh, countries and their experiences, and obviously Hawaii is on their hot list. So you grew up in the Pompeii area. So tell us about your family. What's the family dynamic like?
When our grandparents were still alive, it was close and everybody looks out for each other. That was around the time that I had my first experience. And
So how old were you when you started noticing something was a little off?
well, I was around sixth grade around that time, sixth or seventh, elementary.
Elementary.
Yeah, because my younger cousin is like 3 years younger than me, or 4 years, and he would come over. I would go and ask for him to come over and sleep over, and that's when he experienced it too, and he got freaked out. Didn't want to go back to our house again.
Oh my gosh, and I've been in that position before as well. Nobody wants to come visit you because of what's going on in your home. Was it hard for you to tell people or talk to your family about what you were feeling, seeing, experiencing?
Well, the thing is, when it happens, like the next morning, you get so scared. You tell your family about it, and they're like, it's nothing. And then they walk me into the room, and then they're like, everything is back and where it's supposed to be. Like, you're just imagining. You must have been having a nightmare. But
You're like this of what you were
yeah,
experiencing.
like, because I think back then they believe if you keep talking about ghost stuff, it'll manifest more. So they just sweep it under the rug.
Get out of the rug. But you knew something was different. You had a feeling and you were pretty convinced.
Oh,
What
yeah.
made you so convinced? What was it that you actually saw or felt?
Well, that particular night that I had my cousin come over, we were sleeping, and then probably around 2 or 3 in the morning, that's when I heard the sliding window started creaking. And then I opened up my eyes and I woke my cousin real quick, and I was like, "Hey, look, it's starting." And he was like, "What's starting?" And next thing you know, the window just slammed open, and then the curtains were blowing everywhere. We got up, we ran over to the door to get out, and the door just shut in front of us. And then as soon as the door shut, all of the sliding windows were opening and closing nonstop. And then next door is my uncle's bathroom, and he's got one of those metal tubs. Sounded like somebody was smacking the bathtub with the hammer. It was banging so loud. And then we both got scared. So he was crying. We were praying. And then finally it kind of stopped, slowed down. When we reached for the door, it let us open it. Because before, every time we would reach for the door, it would slam and then open by itself and then slam real hard. So finally, when we came out, I guess my grandmother and my sister had the same experience on the other side of the house because they were sitting at the table and she was going through her little rosary, praying. And I came out and I was like, "Did you guys hear her screaming?" And they were like, "What? We didn't hear nothing." I was like, "We were screaming our butts off in there."
You're so
And
right.
they did not hear nothing.
So how big is that house? Like what's
It's not that big at all.
you would have heard?
Yeah, it's like the size of this area. It's not that big.
I just know. Okay, I was just going. Maybe that energy. I call them energies. So maybe energy, perhaps masked the excitement from you guys because it was trying to manipulate you.
Because they said the same thing happened to them earlier and we did not hear anything. So whatever it was probably passing through the house. So yeah, I guess goosebumps just remembering all those things.
I did too, because it's so scary. Hear you tell the story, and then just visualizing the events,
Oh yeah.
and the one part of the family has their own experience, and then the other part of the family.
Yeah. I mean, after like about a month, I started sleeping with my sister and my grandmother in their room because I didn't want to go back to the other side of the house because in the house, they live on one side and I live on the other side. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that again. But then after a month, it just, I guess I forget about it. And then I go back to my room. I got video games in there. So I would play games until I fall asleep. And
Honestly, just ignore it all. Did you feel like it was an evil presence? Did it come off that way, or just a very active presence?
I guess both,
Oh,
because it felt so evil that it won't let you get out. And then the wind is just blowing drapes everywhere. But then when the next day when we went back in, everything was back to normal. The windows were shut all the way. And these are sliding windows that when you shut, they click. And then when you open it, you gotta unclip, like click the latch and then open it in order to get it open.
so these wasn't some easy windows that you could just unlatch.
Yeah.
They just unlatched and just moved on their own. They it required a lot of
A
mechanics.
lot of pressure to press that button to unclick it. Yeah.
That's so scary. So your family's in Pohnpei, and you're having this experience, and you had your cousin that came over. What else was another scary account of an impact?
Boy, there's a lot. Okay. I'll let my aunt know I told you guys about this, but one of my aunt, every time she gets pregnant, she would get possessed. And at first, people, my grandparents, they're Catholics, like big time. Sometimes Catholic believe that if they beat the person real hard, they'll beat the ghost out of them. So yeah,
It's a new one for me. Beating the ghost out of a person.
yeah. So she went through a lot. Like one of the time that I remember specifically, She had just had a miscarriage, and then we buried the baby. It wasn't like a full term, so we didn't have a lot of gathering. It was just a 1 day thing, and then we all went to sleep, and then she started getting possessed again. So we all ran in, and her body just levitated off the bed.
Okay, so when you're talking about possess, you're talking about something that you see on like
Exorcist.
exorcism.
Yeah,
Like really?
really. Like when she got levitated, the three men in our family in the house, my uncle, my grandfather, and my granduncle, they grabbed her and they tried to hold her down, and she just tossed them to the side.
No.
Yeah.
Did her face look like it changed? Her voice changes?
Her voice changed.
Her voice changed.
It would switch from a deep, manly voice to an old, raggedy old lady's voice. And then she would call my grandfather by his first name and be like, "How dare you touch me?" And my grandfather slapped her really hard, but she just turned around. She was like, "How dare you?" But when all of this was happening, somebody went and got a witch doctor, and he came over and he did some stuff. Because one of my grandmothers, she had me try to pick medicines. We got local medicines for everything. When we went to pick the medicines, every time we would shine the light at a leaf, she would reach for it and it would break off and just fall. And she's like, "Don't touch that. Like, whatever the spirits touch, you can't touch." And I was like, "How do you know?" And I didn't even notice it was breaking off. I just saw it fall. So I was like, "Oh, there's another one." She's like, "Don't touch it." And then she would point the flashlight somewhere else and then reach and grab from another area. And then, yeah, when I noticed the branches were moving away from her, I got really scared. I was like, "Grandma, why did you bring me with you?" Like, it was really scary. But after they got her to calm down, we were in there, like, just watching over her. And then I heard a baby crying, an actual baby crying
Say wow.
outside the window. So I unlatched the window, and the bush right outside our window, that's where the sound was coming from. And they were like, "You," they started calling me names like, "You can't do that. That's just asking for trouble." So they dragged me back in, coughed me on the head, and shut the window. They're like, "You sit in the corner, just sit there."
And you're such a young boy.
Yeah.
You just you're still learning how to just exist. And then you're not now you have to figure out
How to process all these things going on.
how to process that and exist with an energy that you're not familiar with. And listening to all of listen to the stories, but also understanding the cultural um differences that we have, just growing up in the States, there's so many perspectives on these encounters. If they go to other countries and these things are their norms,
They're the norms back there.
they're not, it's not foreign to have these experiences or to have these particular ritualistic things that you do to do specific stuff. It's just so it's fascinating. So I've heard that a lot of people tour Hawaii just for these paranormal experiences. That really true?
I guess so. When I was in high school in Hawaii, some of my friends took me to a place they called Baby's Cry and Morgan's Corner. I mean, I didn't see anything scary there. Well, I guess I did got scared when we were to the place they called Baby's Cry, because you would feel the wind passing by your head, and then you'd hear the baby crying in the bushes. But then guess what happened the next day? I went there during the daytime. There were seabirds trying to protect their youngs. So after that, I stopped being scared of the place.
See, you debunked that thing that everyone had to be for us, I'm sure, a long period of time that it was something. Or either they want to convince themselves.
Well, and when you're there at night and you experience something like whooshing by your head and you hear babies crying everywhere in the bushes, it's just creepy.
Especially at night. Like,
At night, yeah. If the I guess when you're in the dark and you don't know anything, it's really scary.
yeah. Yeah. That is always a creepy time. But you know, they say most of the activity happens at night. I'm a believer that it happens whenever it has an opportunity. So that time when you guys were experiencing it was nighttime or early morning time.
Early morning.
Have you had any major experiences in the daytime?
Only once.
Okay.
Me and my cousin, we were going to school in Hawaii and we got into an argument. So I got really mad and I was like, I'm gonna run away. So I ran out the door. He was calling after me. I just pressed the elevator, jumped in, and just went. When I was running, I was just like, I'm gonna run till I get tired and then I'll find some friends to stay with. But I was trying to get away as far as I can. When I got to this park, I was walking with a whole bunch of people on the road. But then I saw this yellow, orangish muumuu dress that it was one that I saw my grandmother wearing in a picture. And she passed like 3, 4 years earlier. And then she just started walking towards me. And I had goosebumps. I froze up. I could not blink. I was just frozen. And then she just came up and just passed through me. And I could feel the chill just go right through me. I turned around, went back home, cried. And my cousin was like, you ready to apologize? I was like, let me go sleep first. So I went and slept it off and just didn't tell anybody about it.
She passed through you. You recognized her, and she literally
Walk through,
just walks.
just whooshed through. I could not blink. I was just looking at her and then she just, like, it looked like she just went right through. When I slowly turned my head, there was nobody there. And then I turned forward. All the people I was walking with, there wasn't anybody there. I was all by myself the whole time. Either that or I just froze in time and everybody just walked away.
Stayed still.
Yeah, something. But it was scary. After that, I stopped thinking about running away till I got older. Yeah.
Said that you stopped thinking about running away after that because you felt like you were running into other stuff.
Yeah. I felt like she was telling me it's not the right time for you to be by yourself or something like that.
So you think that's the message she is
Yeah.
sending you when she went through you? How does God be? It reminds me of the movie Ghost when the lady went straight through, well, the guy went straight through the body and the wall, and he was possessed. Oh, they over him. But did you feel any different?
No, I just felt cold chills run through me. That was it. But after that, as soon as I went back to our own island, I went to their graves. And funny thing, when I went to their graves, it's been abandoned for a long time. And I went over there and there was 3 cats on the graves because the graves were my grandmother, my grandfather, and one of my uncles. So 3 cats were on there and I went over and they were fighting all the dogs that were trying to cross the graves. Like they were protecting the graves. And then when I walked over, they came to me and I was like, my grandmother loved cats. So I sat down with one of them. The cat came over and bit me really hard. And then I just looked at her and then she started biting like lightly and then started playfully biting my finger and then lay down on my leg and then just stayed there. And then the other 2 cats came over and they started brushing up against my arm. I filled up with tears because, you know, we're really superstitious people. To me, it was the three people that reside in those graves that were probably saying hi to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that had to be a really peaceful feeling.
Oh yeah.
This is what is Hawaii's biggest spiritual, maybe ritualistic thing? What is it known for when it comes to the spiritual parts?
I don't know about Hawaii, but in Pohnpei, uh, boy, there's a lot of spiritual things that go on. Like, yeah, there's a lot.
So, is there like one thing in particular that culturally is something, a belief structure in Pompeii?
Oh yeah, there's a there's a lot. I mean, that's why I didn't want to really mention it because,
So, you speak it.
well, not really speak it, but back home there are people known to like raise the dead and have them go to somebody. Like they'll raise your own dead family spirit and have them come to you and like just be around you to scare you, and because they can't torture you. I guess it's just, I don't know if they can touch you physically, but I know they drive those people crazy.
So, it's by moving
Yeah.
to a certain,
Yeah.
summon a deceased loved one or their energy, resurrected, and have them taunt you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that is, and what would have to happen for them to want to do that, or for that situation to,
To go away.
well, that too. But what would you have had to have done for them to want to resurrect a loved one and have them taunt?
Something really bad.
Truly
Or
speaking.
culturally speaking, I mean, people do that, I don't know, I guess, out of just hate.
Because like if they say, oh hey, I'm just gonna throw Great Grandma on over there by Sydney just because I feel like it. Will that energy come and actually?
Probably. I mean, I've never experienced that, but I've heard that it's happened to people. And I was like, how did they get over it? They were like, you have to work up the nerve to confront the ghost and actually talk to them and find out who sent them. And then you have to go apologize to the person to make it go away.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. And what you don't know who did it.
Well, I guess when you confront the ghost and ask them, they have to tell you. Yeah.
So that is a very strong reservation with that culture. Like,
I mean, who would you be able to confront a deceased loved one and ask them, why are you torturing me? I mean, you would have to get to a certain point to just work up the courage to do that.
I,
But if you didn't know, it would have been going on forever.
wow.
Yeah.
Just and it's you saying that they don't actually physically touch you, but they just make themselves visible to you.
I think that's what I heard. I mean, I've not actually experienced it, but I've heard that, yeah, they see them, but I don't know if they physically touch them, like try to hurt them or something.
Like any type of injury or
Injuries. Yeah.
but they just make themselves visible. Might be sitting at the end of the bed when you wake up.
Mm-hmm. Everywhere you look, you see them pop off from the corner.
I guess that would be for me. So emotionally taunting. I've seen so much stuff,
I
but
mean, if to me, if something like that happened to me, I guess Boy, I would be so scared. I don't know if I can work up the nerve to ask them who sent them, but it will really mess up my mind.
And can they send them again? Over and
That I don't know. I heard once they find out who it is and they go and do their apology, that person, it's like, I guess it's a cultural thing. Once you ask for forgiveness and if you say you forgive, you need to forgive. If you forgive but you try to send somebody else, I guess some other bad thing could happen to you.
wow. So if you're not being 100% just forthcoming with your apology, then more.
Or accepting the apology.
That
Yeah.
absolutely, then more tumultuous stuff can happen.
Yeah, because I come from a culture that's so unique. Back in the olden day, when somebody would get into a fight with another person and they would accidentally, like they were drunk and they and somebody would end up dying, you could go to that family and apologize. And if they forgive you, then you become part of their family. And all the stuff you did is just forgiven.
Just have a clean slate.
Yeah.
That is some.
I've been away for a long time, so I couldn't tell you it's still like that.
But you still frequent go back and visit your hometown. Oh, you didn't need to go.
No, that in the past 27 years.
Wow. What keeps you from going back? Is it just
My kids, yeah. I'm trying to get them through school. Once they all get in college, then
then you might take a trip back?
I might take a trip back.
Do you still have a lot of family from it?
Yes.
Okay. So how was the last time seeing your cousin?
Oh, the one that
The one that you have that is.
he's living in Kentucky right now. He's a grown man. He's got kids.
So you could have stayed.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So have you ever spoken to him as an adult and recollected on that time?
We did. Uh, see, I think it was 12 years ago. We went down to Hawaii and he was living in Hawaii. And then we got together and we drank kava. Kava is a drink that we drink back home. Yeah. So we got together and drank kava and we started reminiscing on old days. And then he was like, man, I can't forget the experience I had when I came slept at your house. I was like, yeah. I was like, dude, and you left me. You didn't even come back. He was like, dude, I never wanted to come back to your house again.
That had to be such an experience for him to where it
I mean,
unforgettable.
yeah. For him to remember it till
To that day,
yeah.
that must have really impacted him psychologically and emotionally. So where he's like, "Is I love you, but I love me more."
Yeah. Yeah, he always tells me like, dude, you're my brother, but no.
So if you could tell the viewers and the listeners one place in Pompeii that if they were interested in visiting for the historical ghostly component, where would it be?
It's the one that always shows up on the ancient aliens. Yep. It's called Namandal. Yeah. It's a ancient city built out of stones. They're like, yeah. And we got legends that it was built by two people, a couple of brothers. And then when they went back there, they were like, none of the trees on the island can support these stones. So we don't think it was built by like
Human beings?
yeah. They were like they believe it was levitated or something. Yeah.
They're like kind of like the pyramids, right? So a lot of people don't believe that the pyramids were constructed by humans. The giant limestones that used to construct it because of its actual physical design. It was like Is it that same with those stones?
Well, the size and the size, structure, and just the weight of the stones is just impossible for people to build. And
Still preserved
hmm
and that. And say the name of that area again.
it's called Namadol.
Narrodal.
But the thing is, you know, according to our culture, if you go there, you got to go to the Namargi of the area. Namargi is like the high chief king. Yeah. So you got to go to them and ask for permission. But there's a process to doing that. You got to bring kava. You got to drink and then ask. And so you can't just go there. You gotta come and find some local tour to help you, or people that know the place.
So you literally have to be granted permission
Yeah,
to go
to go to this sacred ground. Yeah,
And if for anybody listening, if you were to visit this area and you went and you did not have the head chief's permission.
it's bad. It's bad voodoo for you.
Oh wow. I'm definitely gonna try to visit. Gotta get permission first.
Oh yeah.
The high chiefs. There's a lake here in the United States. I can't remember what state it is, but it's a sacred lake. And it's on a gay spot. And a couple of people went to the lake and they didn't get permission. And they end up um, drowning in the lake. They got pulled into the lake. And there was another couple that went and they had they put their hand in the water and they got an electric shock through their whole body.
Wow.
So, and they told them, you cannot go to this lake without getting permission.
Mhm.
They were just,
Oh yeah. Sacred grounds is just sacred.
Yeah.
And you can disbelieve all you want, but tradition and people's culture is really important. Like all these spirits, we believe they're part of our culture. We have our own ghost spirits that we believe in that travels the islands. We can't say their names because it's taboo, but we do have them. Yeah.
so these are like the spirits that are well known to that territory that kind of like govern that area.
hmm In Hawaii, we believe it's the same spirits. When she comes to Hawaii, they call her Pele. Yeah. But in our culture, we don't just throw her name out there because it's sacred, it's taboo. Yeah.
So is it kind of like saying Candyman and you're
Probably not. I think Candyman is just too. I've never. Is that even a real thing?
I don't even know, and I've never even tried to.
I mean, yeah.
I'm Bloody Mary
Yeah.
doing it. I don't know how she messed up here. I'm not gonna tap the water. It's just like Ouija boards.
Mm, that's true. That's one thing I wouldn't want to try again.
Yeah, that's a voodoo piece to me. Your movie resurrecting energies.
I mean, like I said earlier, whenever you talk about these things, you tend to make them manifest.
Yeah, I'm a very early. Whatever we seek, yeah, caution ourselves. This it's either gonna.
I mean, that's why we don't just throw the name of our ghosts around, our spirits of our island. We don't just throw their names around because to us it's taboo. And if you say their names, something will happen to you, or you might end up seeing them.
Awesome, sacred, traditional practices. You have to respect that. I totally believe it. Respect me, even with the work that I do. I feel like going into the energies location, you have to be respectful
Mm-hmm.
of their existence.
Yeah, and I like what you're doing. It really opens up people's minds. And
Culturally, because I mean, I would say that Sydney is a 100% firm believer in ghosts. I'm gonna take that poll, and I think it's so important for people because it was taboo in my culture. So, we didn't talk about it. We didn't want to resurrect it vocally, but it's just a taboo conversation that we tend to skip over. And I'm opening up this platform to have these conversations, especially when it comes to cultural division with spiritual beliefs and structures. We have to understand how it works in a community.
Like that.
So it's amazing. I'm so happy that you came to talk, and I know you've got so many experiences, and the ones that you share with us, they're pretty scary. Did you experience that? Like I literally got goosebumps just listening to you tell this story, and I mean, it makes me eager to go to your country, but it also just makes me aware of what I need to do before I go. So, Sydney, if there's anything that you want the viewers and listeners to know, or anything specific that you want to leave them with, what would it be?
No. When you get into trouble, always pray to God and believe in Jesus. For real, that's all you can do. Just pray, and because, bad things, people go ghost and bad spirit stuff. I mean, if you believe in that, you gotta also believe in religion. And religion, I believe, is always on your side if you look to them.
That's pretty good. That's a really good point. So, Sydney, it was truly a pleasure having you on the show. It was amazing hearing your story and you sharing us
I appreciate you having me.
spiritual experiences. So, all of my Ghost Playing TV viewers and listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Ghost Hour, where we interview real people and talk to them about their real life, paranormal, and phenomena experience.